I started coding back in 2024, and boy, do I wish somebody had sat me down and shared these 7 game-changing programming truths before I spent weeks and months battling with code. If you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or you just want to level up fast and avoid these mistakes in your programming journey, watch this video till the end. Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm a software developer grinding through a apprenticeship or Ausbildung in German at a German media company. I'm originally from Ghana, but I was born and raised in Italy, and I relocated here 4 years back to chase a career in IT. And in this video, I would like to talk about some unfiltered lessons that I've learned living, coding, and studying here in Germany. When I first started my apprenticeship, I thought that as long as I don't have a screen that looks like this in my VS Code, it looks more like this, I am untouchable and you better talk to me nice. It turns out that that was a big mistake because there was a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't really aware about and I didn't learn through tutorial coding YouTube. Through months of trial and error, I've discovered the real gap between code that runs and code that is elegant. And unfortunately, I wasn't even aware that there was such a thing. You don't need to know everything, but these are the ones that brought me the most value. I think they work with any programming language and will spare you endless hours of frustration. Before diving into specific coding techniques, let's start with one of the most powerful habits that separates great developers from frustrated ones: breaking big problems into smaller pieces. It sounds simple, but it's a total game changer. Think of it like this. Coding a whole application at once is like trying to climb a mountain in one jump. Basically, impossible. But if you take one step at a time, it suddenly feels doable. For example, say you need to build a to-do list app. The full project entails designing the layout, saving the tasks, handling clicks, and sometimes this can feel too much at once. Instead, split it into smaller tasks. One part shows the list of tasks on screen, another part save the task to a file or database, and another part handles what happens if a user adds or deletes a task. Once you focus on each small piece, the whole project becomes much easier to handle. Many people will think that this one step at a time method is only for beginners, but that's not true. Experienced developers work in this manner all the time. This is also how agile development works. You build some parts, you test them, and then you move on to the next. Each piece becomes its own small testable function or module. And that is what keeps your code clean, easy to fix, and less stressful to work with. Now that we know how to tackle big problems step by step, another key aspect to consider is making sure that each steps actually work as intended. Picture this: a shiny new web application goes live and everything seems to be perfect. Users are signing up, data is flowing, and everything seems to move in the right direction. Then one user decides to type drop table users into a form field and suddenly your whole database is gone. Or imagine a mobile application crashing because somebody typed in n/a in a number field. These aren't hypothetical scenarios. These are real issues that have brought system down because nobody was basically checking what was coming in and what was going out. The stakes are high in production, where a single oversight can lead to hours of debugging or worse, a very public failure. So what should you do? I think it's all about building a habit that acts like a gatekeeper for your code. Think of it as a bouncer at a club, making sure only the right data gets in and the right results come out. This means catching things early, things like null values, type mismatches, or malformed data before it causes trouble. It also means not blindly trusting functions to work perfectly, because sometimes they don't. Plus, adding a bit of logging can help you trace what's happening when things get messy, especially in big systems. This literally takes 2 or 3 minutes to set up, but it can save you a whole lot of pain. And trust me, this is the type of practical habit that separates the pros from the people who accidentally write "Yo mama" as a valid email address in their app. True story, and it was funny until it wasn't anymore. So validate your inputs and outputs. That's just one part of writing reliable code. Mutable state or data that can change can be a silent killer in programming. When multiple parts of your code can modify the same variable, you're basically asking for trouble. Think of a shared counter in a web application. One function increments it and another resets it. And suddenly your application logic is a mess because no one knows who changed what. This gets even trickier in systems with concurrency where multiple processes can touch on the same data at once. The result? Bugs. Bugs that are hard to track and code that is hard to reason about. Immutable state flips this on its head by using data structures that cannot be changed once created. In JavaScript, for example, you might lean on const for basic immutability or use libraries like Immutable.js for complex data. Using immutable state makes your life as a developer easier. Cleaner code, fewer side effects, and a system that is easier to debug, especially when things get complex. In order to understand this even better, we need to look at how your entire code base can stay organized and flexible over time, and that's where the solid principles come in. These are 5 simple rules that can help you write code that is clean, flexible, and easy to change later. Following them can save you hours of frustration, especially when you're adding new features or fixing bugs. Imagine you're working on a web application. There is one big function that just does everything. It logs users in, it sends notifications, and it records errors. Now you need to add a new feature like a two-factor authentication. But the function is so entangled that literally changing one line could break everything. And that's a sign that your code might need refactoring. Solid is a set of guidelines created by Robert C. Martin, also known as Uncle Bob, to help you organize your code better. Think of it as a way to keep your code neat and easy to upgrade, just like you will reorganize your room, basically, to find things quickly. And here is what each part of Solid means. The S stands for single responsibility. Each class or function should do one thing and one thing only. For example, one class handles user data, other handles saving file, another sends notifications. The O stands for open/closed. Your code should be easy to extend with new features without changing the existing parts. Kind of adding a new Lego piece without rebuilding the whole set. The letter L stands for Liskov's substitution. If you replace one class with another that does the same job, everything should still work. The letter I stands for interface segregations, which means don't force classes to include functions they don't use. Only give them what they actually need. And finally, the letter D stands for dependency inversion, which means don't make your code depend directly on small details. Instead, depend on general ideas or interfaces so you can easily swap out parts later. By following these 5 ideas, you will be able to write code that is easy to upgrade, easy to reuse, and easy to understand. Like building Legos brick by brick instead of gluing everything together. This next tip is about finding the right balance between keeping things simple and being ready for what's up next. Yagni is great for avoiding unnecessary work. Yagni means you aren't gonna need it, and it keeps you focused on what's needed now, especially in fast-moving projects where you don't want to waste time on features nobody asked for. But in larger systems, such as enterprise apps, following Yagni in a very strict way can cause some problems down the line. Imagine a notification system so rigid that in order to add support for emails and, let's say, SMS, it requires you to rewrite half of the code base. And that's the kind of headache that you don't want, and I think that's the kind of headache that nobody wants. On the other hand, building every feature with like endless flexibility can kind of like bloat your code and basically slow you down. So the plan is basically trying to understand or trying to figure out when to keep things lean and quick, and also when to kind of plan for growth. But how do you get it right? I would say that in my situation or at the company where I'm currently working at, it starts with clear communication with the stakeholder, or whether it's like a project manager or a senior engineer, to understand if the feature is truly unnecessary or if it's just not needed yet. From there, you can kind of like use lightweight approaches to keep your options open. Think about using configuration objects instead of using hard-coded values, or designing modular code that can handle feature tweaks without a complete overhaul. The result should be a code base that is efficient for today's needs, but also efficient for tomorrow's needs, especially when we are talking about enterprise applications. Okay, clean and flexible code is great, but it doesn't help much if nobody understands how it works. Trust me, this is the kind of habit that separates the highly praised developers from those who will be probably chased down the hallway and get punched because they don't care about the mental well-being of other software engineers or software developers. And this is a great example from my own job. In the last couple of weeks, me and a colleague of mine extended the functionality of a feature called an area. So anytime we will make changes to the Perl code, the update wouldn't show up unless we went through a rigorous process, which was to actually copy the files to the server using rsync and then running Apache Graceful as root so Apache can reload the new code. And none of this was obvious, especially to somebody who's new. Without the specific documentation, we would have burned hours just trying to figure out how to get started. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way by writing this README for this specific feature and basically spare other developers in the future the pain or the mental frustration of going through this whole process. So how do you do it right? I would say focus on the hard stuff. Focus on the non-obvious stuff, the complex logic or the edge cases or a specific setup requirement. Please write comments that explain why the code or the process exists in the first place and not just what it does. And I will also say that for bigger projects, a clear README can offer or can provide a high level context. So it's very useful. Once your code is clean, documented, and easy to maintain, it's time to level up again. This skill helps you avoid two common mistakes. The first one is writing code that is too slow, and the second one is writing code that is so complicated that nobody, including you, understand it or can understand it later. I have learned in this past year and a half that not every single line of code needs to be super fast. What matters is finding the right balance between performance and readability. Code that runs well but also makes sense to humans. Imagine you're building an application that processes thousands of records in a loop. Your code is clean and easy to read, but it's slow, and users are waiting forever for results. Now, try to also picture the opposite problem. Somebody or an engineer trying to write code that is lightning fast and trying to cram everything in weird shortcuts and unreadable stuff. Sure, it runs quickly, but now it's so complex and confusing that nobody can maintain or fix it. Both situations can cause trouble. So what's the right approach? The first thing I think is to start simple, to write code that is correct and that is also easy to understand. Second, test and measure. If something feels slow, use profiling tools to find exactly where the slowdown is. Then optimize where is needed. Focus on the slow parts like tight loops, heavy data processing, or memory limited devices, and leave the rest alone. And the last thing I learned is to explain your optimization. If you made your code faster in a tricky way, add comments to explain how you did it or why you did this. A good rule that I learned in the past year is 1, to make it work, 2, to make it clear, and then to make it fast. Now, all these principles that I've learned throughout the past year are just guides and not unbreakable rules. I learn from them, I respect them, but I'm also not afraid to adjust or debate them when the situation calls for it. I think that smart software engineers know when to stick to the book, but also know when to write a new chapter for a specific project. And this is what makes certain software engineers stand out from others. As I said in the beginning of this video, I currently work in Germany. And if you're interested in knowing the brutal reality of Germany's IT market, I highly suggest you to watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you found this video useful.